Hey guys, welcome back to Ohms Lounge. I'm your host Ohms, and we are also here with the Lone Salesman.
Hey.
And we're going to be talking about this new game, this space survival, a looter shooter, Marauders.
Hell yeah.
Anything else that am I missing for the description of that type of game, Paul?
No, I think you got it pretty well. You know, it's a survival game. It's got some survival mechanics, very similar to some other games we'll be talking about that we're familiar with, such as DayZ, Rust, Escape From Tarkov, and The Cycle. So, Ohms, you bought me this game.
I sure did.
And I was completely surprised because I thought you were going to get me another game like Gotcha Revenge or something like that. But the last game you actually got me was a good one, the Nephilim Saga game, and I really enjoyed that. So was surprised that you got me another banger.
Yeah, I saw it. I was just kind of browsing through Twitch and I saw some people that I follow playing it, and I thought it looked pretty sick because I saw a bunch of like old like World War I weapons and they were in outer space. I was really blown away when I saw that they had things like space vehicle exploration and being able to use the ship's guns and stuff like that. And I like the close quarter combat kind of feel for it. The AI isn't too bad from what I've seen, and it's very similar to Escape from Tarkov, which is another game I kind of introduced you to way back when that I just did not have the patience for, but you just took it and ran with it.
Yeah.
And you can go and talk about your experience with all that.
Oh yeah, so Tarkov is a love-hate relationship for sure. It was a very frustrating game at times, but I really enjoy it at the same time. When you first turned me on to it, I didn't know too much about it. I saw you playing it, and I think you let me play, and I had no idea what I was doing. You just told me to go somewhere, follow this map and customs. I'm like, I have no idea where I'm supposed to go. I think someone ended up shooting at me. I had no idea where it was coming from. So it was just like a huge mess for me. But now it's like I've played the game and understood it a lot more, a lot easier to play now. Still difficult, but it's one of those games that requires a lot of research. You know, like you can't just pick it up and play it. Like you got to know what the hell you're doing, where to go. And Marauders kind of has that same thing, but a little bit more clear. They explain a lot more things up front. You know, there's a nice tutorial video. It's about 10 minutes long when you first start the game, and that might be a little off-putting to some people, but for me, who's been playing Tarkov, you know, that's nothing. A 10-minute video. Meanwhile, I'm watching like 30, 40-minute stream, you know, YouTube videos from like people like Pestily or other streamers. Landmark, you know, I'll watch their videos and their streams to learn more about the games. My friend also playing this game, he was like, yeah, I didn't want to watch the tutorial video, and I'm like, dude, it's very helpful. Marauders is a lot more accessible, and it has a lot of cool features, like right now in this, you could see in the stream, I'm doing some space combat, and that's like a nice little element that I thought is fun. Tarkov is more so like, okay, you get in, get out, take what you can. The survival elements are much more in depth for like, you know, hydration, food, stamina, you know, there's a lot of side effects that you can get. Just, I mean, in your opinion, since you're more of a, you know, spectator, I know you've watched some streams on Marauders and Escape from Tarkov. What do you notice about the two games?
Well, I noticed that from what you've told me and how easy you picked it up, and from whenever I was watching you, that the tutorial actually helped, whereas Tarkov had a lack of a tutorial. They're just like, figure it out, stupid.
Yeah, there's like nothing.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to like look up the maps, figure out what it is that you're looking for, understand how it is that you actually progress, what the importance is of the base, whereas Marauders is pretty straightforward. You go, you breach, and you loot, and don't die, which I think is really cool, really simple, and I've seen you do these runs pretty quickly. I wish we had that video of you just going in there blasting somebody, looting him, and then just leaving. And
oh
you
my
literally
God.
spent like 2 minutes in that ship, and that was it. You already came out with so much loot.
I know it's so annoying. I feel like I always have my best moments when I'm not recording or streaming. Yeah, I mean it's true. I think right now the most of the encounters, or when you first enter the area, you have about 25 minutes, and from there it's based on your oxygen levels. So when I first played the game, I was like, oh, do I need to like carry oxygen or something? Like I had no idea. Maybe they'll add that element in later, but yeah, Tarkov is more so like, okay, you have every map has different time limits, right? So for example, the smallest map, Factory, it's less of a time limit, and the extraction areas are pretty far away, so you have to like really make your way over. The other thing is, who's to say, you know, what you can get accomplished in that time? You know, you don't want to risk getting a run through, which means you're going to get less experience extracting. Nobody wants to get that. It's pretty much like worthless. So another game I want to talk about, the Cycle, real quick, which is very similar, and we'll get to Rust and DayZ because those games are slightly different. Those games are more of like an open sandbox. There's less of that whole, like, I guess I have less experience with those games, but from what I've seen, it's, you know, more of an open world experience, which I think Tarkov is eventually trying to get to. But at the moment, too, like, all right, for the Cycle as well, the Cycle's map is huge. So imagine like, I don't have any gameplay here, but basically switching over. So you have these two maps, and you have like this unique kind of character designs, guns. Maybe we'll play this trailer real quick. Here's the Cycle, you know, here you're just running around, you have a similar setup, loadout, you run in, get out, except the maps are much larger, and there's also creatures and other things. So one element of these games we forgot to mention is you're not only kind of fighting people, but you're also fighting characters, enemies. We'll talk a little bit more about that, the AI in some of these games. Here in the Cycle, it's mostly just creatures, so you're hunting creatures, hunting people, mining for materials. However, the time you have to spend in here, the difference between all these games is there's no time limit with the Cycle. You can actually stay in the map as long as you want. There are these storms that do come in that can kill you immediately, but if you take shelter, then you're safe. Theoretically, you could be in game for like hours, as long as you survive. I mean, I don't know if you'd want to do that, but they have several extraction areas. They tell you where you have to go. So similar to Tarkov, you have certain extraction areas. You get on the ship and you can get out. Whereas Marauders, you kind of have one area to escape from. You have to get on a ship or an escape pod and then exit through this little space gate thing. They're all very similar.
At the fundamental level, I can see that, yeah. Just the whole...
Another element is like, the other element is the whole base building. You asked me a question about, okay, Marauders, like, is this ship basically your base? And my answer is kind of. I think Tarkov and the Cycle, where you have your bases, there's more going on with it. You have more passive. Tarkov, you can generate bitcoins, like hydrate yourself, better crafting. Here in the Marauders, it's more so like, okay, you have traders. Your ship, you can have more stuff depending on your ship, more space, or you could also have better weapon systems. But a lot of the crafting and stuff is kind of outside of that. In the Cycle, you have a main hub area, kind of. Basically, that's where all your traders and your crafting. You can also have a small apartment where that's kind of like your base. You can generate weapons and where you can generate currencies and other stuff. You can also do stuff like insurance system. I'm sure you're familiar with that. Until like in Tarkov, let's say you die, but you insured that item. As long as no one took that item, you can get it back. Similar in the cycle. Now, Marauders doesn't have that feature, which is a little annoying. I guess it's not really needed at this point. Because I think the crafting system in Marauders is much more forgivable. Like, you can craft so easily. Basically, like, let's say I take a shitty pistol. If I take 2 shitty pistols, I can break those down and then build that Scorpion, that machine pistol I had you saw me messing people up with.
Yeah.
Whereas Tarkov, like, man, oh my god, the item system in that game is so in depth. Like, you can literally break down guns to the receiver, to the stock, to the, you can go really in depth with the gun building, but it's a little too much sometimes because, like, even like ammo types, stuff like that. Right now, I don't think the Marauders has much ammo types. It just has ammo types like generically for different guns. You also don't have to get clips, which is nice. In Tarkov, like, you have to get like different clips. They all have different sizes, and the customization is just all over the place. The cycle kind of simplifies it. You do have like white, blue, green, different tiers of clips and other effects. Whereas Tarkov, it's like all vendor based. You can get stuff on the flea market. I think for like someone who's slightly interested in this genre, who maybe doesn't want to invest too much time but wants to just kind of get in, get out, I think the Marauders is definitely the pick. But if you want something more than what this is offering, besides, the lore and kind of like what's being presented, then maybe Tarkov is also good. And I'd say the in-between example is maybe the cycle. If you don't want to invest anything, it's free to play the cycle.
Like for me, for example, like I don't really sit down and play a whole lot of games. I like to watch because I'm always doing something on the side and multitasking and just getting personal things done. But I do enjoy watching that as entertainment. So like I think the cycle would be something that I would like to check out. But I need to upgrade my computer before I do any of that. But whenever I did play Escape from Tarkov, like I did not have a fun time with that. I mean, it was cool, but my very first experience with it was that I was trying to learn everything. I was watching streams on how these people like go through their runs, and I needed to have the supporting like websites open on like the other screen, so I know like where on customs I would have to go for certain loot and where to go. And dude, it took me like 4 hours for me to actually not die. And I did not like the fact that like the matchmaking was taking forever. I've been in matchmaking for I think as long as an hour before. So I was like, geez. But it was like I think the intensity of the game and the anxiety inducing parts of the game are like what really make it really enjoyable, or at least thrilling. More so than enjoyable anyway. But yeah, I do enjoy the kind of realistic aspects of it. Kind of like we were talking about Rust and DayZ. I remember like those hyper realistic games from back in like 2012, watching Lyric play it, and like that was it, dude. Like I remember playing Arma. It was really cool. Like Arma's really in depth. Like they were kind of like the front runners for like the hyper realistic type things. And like we've come a long way now.
Oh yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about DayZ and Rust is they're very community based. DayZ in particular, I know you can run your own server and kind of just make up your own rules. Whereas Rust, it's a little bit more constrained. I believe like DayZ, they do have like wipes every now and then, but they're usually like let's talk about wipes and how like games handle these kind of progression things. So DayZ, I know they only do wipes like every once or twice a year, not very often. Whereas Rust, they tend to do it a little bit more often.
Yeah, I remember I played Rust back in alpha, and it was a completely different game back then. But they would have like soft resets back in like 2012. I remember that.
Yeah, forced wipes in Rust occur first Thursday of every month, so that's quite frequent. Apparently, they're very strict on this. They don't even if you have your own server, they kind of just force it anyway. Whereas DayZ, it's basically based on the server mod, which is kind of interesting. And then we have Tarkov. Tarkov is with every major update, they usually do a wipe, which is a little inconvenient for some people because it's like if you want to get to the max, complete all the quests in time, you really have to, you have like 5 or 6 months, I guess, to completely do everything before everything resets.
I think that's reasonable. See, that fits my schedule, man, because like I don't sit down and play games a whole lot. And if you're gonna be resetting shit every 5 or 6 months, like that's reasonable. At least
Yeah.
to me. But if you're changing shit up every month, man, I'm pissed.
Well, I guess in Rust it's like it's not as competitive, you're building bases, just kind of like role playing, it's not as serious, I guess. I don't know exactly, the progression is just kind of like whatever you can get, I guess, whatever you build up. The site, another objective based game, kind of like Tarkov, you do have contracts and you do have base buildings. So currently, they have seasons, so you can get a season pass, do all the contracts, get weapons, do all this and that, and I guess they change up the maps and stuff too. Those are about, I think, every 2 to 3 months, going off the season. So that's, we have a wide range of different things. Marauders, I don't know how they're going to handle it yet. I'm sure they'll kind of have that in the details sooner or later. But for now, I'm just enjoying it. So let's talk about kind of how the little things, controversy. So games like these, Tarkov, the AI ranges from stupid to insane. The communities are pretty tight. So here in Marauders, I think the AI is not too hard, but I have been killed by the AI quite a few times. It's kind of like same thing in Tarkov, where if you peek a corner 1 or 2 times, keep peeking corners, they'll just headshot you eventually. So they do have some intelligence. The cycle, the creatures have killed me in that game too. They get a little tough, especially if they gang up on you. I think DayZ has like zombies and some other enemies. It's same thing as Rust. Don't think it's too difficult, but how was it in Arma?
As far as what?
Like, did Arma have AI you'd have to fight sometimes, or was it mostly people?
I always played Arma in like certain servers, and because like every server was different, and I always played like the kind of like the deathmatch ones, and those were always really fun. But I don't have a distinct, memory of me getting my shit wrecked by AI. I do remember that being a thing, and like things like DayZ and zombies being really fast. And a friend of mine, he really likes DayZ, and yeah, he mentioned something about like there being an issue with not enough players in certain servers, so like they just added AI.
Oh, I
And
see.
and like he would be able to know if it was an AI pretty easily after all the time of him playing it.
Right. It's kind of like in PUBG.
Yeah.
PUBG does the same thing. They'll fill their numbers. I mean, completely different genre, but kind of same. At least what I've seen with Marauders, they have enemies, but they don't. When you kill someone, Tarkov, it's somewhat similar. You know when you kill a PMC, when you pick up their dog tag. Same thing here in Marauders. You can pick up their captain's ID to take their ship. I believe in the cycle, since it's only hunters, there's, you already know, there's some items you can pick up off of them. As far as now, the only difference in Tarkov is you have player scavs. You're playing as a kind of a non-faction person just to get free loot. However, you do run the risk of losing that loot if you die. Marauders, I think that's a very unique system. I know you mentioned you like doing it just to get free loot. It's safe, risk free because you don't lose anything. But you come in mid raid, so most of the time, most of the loot is already gone. But you might get lucky.
Yeah, like the looting part, like if I can just go in there 5 minutes, if that's what I can really just give myself the mental capacity for, and if I come out with some loot or something like that, because I've seen you go into raids and you just pick up like a war bond and it's worth so much, and I would be happy with just that. I'll just call it quits after that, or at least it would give me more time to kind of sit back and before I don't know what you would call that screen, like I guess like the base or your loadout screen or something.
Oh,
before
yeah.
you doing the raid. Yeah, because like there's so much stuff, and I would want to get familiarized with that. And I know knowing like how I am, I would spend a lot of time in just this screen alone.
Yeah. I mean, I get lost in it too, just trying to organize my inventory, seeing what I need, don't need, seeing stuff I can craft. They have a very unique system in Marauders, and I think it's a way to kind of get away from wipes, hopefully, is the prestige system. Once you reach level 40, it gives you the option to continue leveling or to reset your progression and receive a prestige point. So get reset to level 1. All your weapons, XP, and account balance will be reset, and you'll have starting $20,000. The benefit to this is you can get upgrades and unlocks with these prestige points. So you can get more slots in the hangar, so you can get more than one, like more than 3 ships. You can get more inventory, and you can get other upgrades. The pressure suit, like so some appearance upgrades. So I think that's their way around the wipe, is that I guess eventually if you want some of these extra features, you have to prestige. I'm sure some people will still grind the shit out of this game and end up unlocking everything. I imagine people who enjoy this will like to reset. And as far as matchmaking goes, like I haven't had to wait more than 5 minutes to get into a raid in Marauders. Same thing with Cycle. It's very quick to get into a game because here's another big difference between Tarkov and some of these games. And from what I can see from Marauders is sometimes you might join a match that's already going. So same thing in the Cycle, the loot and stuff refreshes every now and then, but you can join mid-game so people can be already running around. Whereas in Tarkov, you guys all start at the same time, which is kind of annoying because you have some people using like combat stims to just like run as fast as they can, and places of interest become in war zones because everyone's trying to go there at the same time. Marauders, I haven't seen that too much. There is a few quests where you do have to go to certain areas. The worst I've seen is like people camping spawn locations wherever your ship might spawn, but it's kind of difficult because you have to like wait a long time and you don't have quite that much time. So you can't really spawn camp. In the Cycle, you can see in the sky when people are dropping in. So you can always ambush people that way as well. So there is that element of knowing when people are coming. There are maps of spawn locations too, same as Tarkov. You can see where people are spawning. I'm sure Marauders will have that too. You can see where people like ships spawn and whatnot. And of course on the maps you can see on the actual in-game dungeons, you know when people where the locations are. Overall, it's all very different, but balanced in a way. What's your take on it?
I like the game like already. Like once I actually get my own personal life in order, and when I actually have some time to sit down and play some games, I think I might actually sit down and play that. Because
I'd love to play
think
with
it's
you.
funny. Yeah, dude, it'd be really fun. But like my experience with like space exploration type games, like I've played what's that one game called? Elite Dangerous. I really like that because of the dog fighting aspect of it. You kind of get a little taste of that in this game. I like the shipbuilding portion of it. I think that's really neat. I like the gunplay in this game. It looks pretty gratifying, and it doesn't seem like it would take a whole lot for you to kill someone. Like,
Hey, yeah, the time to kill has been pretty short. I mean, it's not too much, but they do have different levels of armors and stuff. I haven't quite figured all that out. It's not like Tarkov where you have to fucking pick the right bullets to get the right amount of penetration and blah 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 damage. It's just so much shit. Like I remembered most of it at some point, but man.
yeah, they just executed all the good things about Tarkov and uh any other type of like space exploration dogfighting thing.
Yeah, the dogfighting feels like interesting to me. It reminds me of like old school naval combat, almost like naval combat in space, which is something I think is appropriate for a game like this because with the era, the weapons you're using, they're all like ballistic weapons. Some of them kind of like there's a few weapons that are futuristic and unique, but for the most part, it's like that old school, like World War One, World War Two style, where you got like cannons, torpedoes, rocket launchers, like the old school battleships. It's not like the modern naval combat.
Yeah, it's like atomic punk or diesel punk, whatever you want to call it. And I would like to see things like maybe like thermal weapons, energy weapons, because like for the most part, I've only seen just kinetic weapons in this game. Just normal machine guns, pistols,
right?
And I've seen some people that just go in there with like a baseball bat or something.
Yeah, it's just a funny moment. We were fighting. I was fighting this guy, and then he gets ran up on by this other guy who just hit him with a fucking bludgeoned weapon or something, a club. And the dude immediately died because I guess I maybe shot him a few times. Shit's just hilarious. And I think Tarkov, they do have melee weapons, but it's not quite, it's more of an aesthetic and kind of a troll thing to kill people with. The cycle, you do have melee weapons as well, but it's also kind of a cosmetic thing you can get. Those weapons are more futuristic. You have like laser guns and stuff like that in the cycle. Tarkov is also, more modern weapons, not so much fantasy or fiction in there.
Yeah.
So they're all a little different, and I think DayZ and Rust also have mostly modern weapons, I think. The style of the games all differ, but they all somewhat function in different ways the same.
Yeah, I like this take on it for the type of style of game that this is. I think that there's a lot that they can work with in the future.
Yeah.
Like what I would really like to see is things like factions, because like isn't that like kind of like the lore in this game? Like there's different factions or something.
Yeah, there is actually a few different factions, and you do contracts for different people to get more faction rewards, and you do get discounts for traders. Similar to Tarkov, you have different vendors who also have reputation systems, so the more contracts you do for them, the more discounts and items they'll give you. It similarly works the same in the cycle. They have 3 or 4 different traders / factions. Same thing. The more you sell, the more contracts you do for them, the more faction you get. And it's the same kind of progression where you're getting more items to sell or more to buy based on how much you do for these vendors. I think the Marauders has a little bit more loose of a progression system. They do have a set of quests to unlock certain things. At the very end, you can get like a battleship, but there's no clear, like you could still just go in and do your own thing. Same thing in Tarkov. Like you don't have to do the quests. You can just literally go in, kill people, make money. Some people play differently. Some people just like doing that. Some people like doing the quests. Depends on the play style.
What I would really like to see, and EVE Online they do this, is like the whole factions and the affinities that you can build between like certain traders and stuff. Like I would really like to see that as as an event. Like I know this game is still in access, but I think that would sit really really well with this type of game.
Oh yeah, that'd be interesting. Like saying like, oh, if you don't have enough faction, and like some enemies will like avoid you. You know, it'd be cool to see that too. Like if enemies like they go passive or something, if you have enough faction or something, and they'll help you out. It'd be kind of cool. Like Tarkov does some things like that. It's more so goofy stuff that like they'll add bosses on different levels, like little things, but nothing too crazy, honestly. Do have two main factions in Tarkov, the Bear and the USEC, but honestly, it doesn't make much of a difference at the end of the day, unless like some quests require you to kill certain players, but it doesn't really make a difference, honestly. There's not much going on there. So let's talk about the game's performances. We were looking at some different charts. The biggest thing that I was surprised about with Marauders is it's actually on the top 50. Let's see, right now it's sitting at 58 on the game's top played list. Rust is up there at the top 10. And I believe DayZ, let's see where DayZ is at. DayZ is 39. So wow, Marauders has only been out for a week, and it's almost as popular as DayZ. So if we go to concurrent players, let's see. DayZ 20,000, last 2 hours, 45,000 peak, all time is 58. Rust is pretty high, 68,000, the last 2 hours, 113, 24-hour peak, 113,000, and then all time is 244,000. Marauders, 13,000 2 hours ago, 14, 24-hour peak, and 14 all-time peak. So a lot of people are still playing, it's still growing. And then we have the cycle, which has gone down quite a bit with under 10,000 users in the last hour. We have 4,000 in the last hour, 6,000 24-hour peak. All time, though, was 40. So one thing I'm kind of worried about, I'm really hoping this doesn't happen, is where the Marauders kind of sees like less playtime, like the cycle. Tarkov, I think, is a bit inconsistent. Most people play a lot during the new wipes. Some people fall off, some people skip it, depending on the content that's being released. Quite interesting. You shared some other information here too about the revenue. So based off reviews, it's got a 7 out of 10. Marauders, net revenue 1.2 million. Rust, we have a higher score, 9 out of 10, $520 million. And then DayZ, another score at a 7 out of 10, $230 million. So Rust is by far the more popular game. However, if we go to this other article I found, so it has several sources on Escape from Tarkov, kind of an infamous game. So supposedly back in 2020, they had over 200,000 concurrent players at some point in the patch 12.6. 82.5 million hours of content on Switch of people watching, which is a lot. The EFT streams peaked at almost 500,000 concurrent viewers as of 2021 last year, which was another new wipe. Battlestate Games have made 50 million in sales in 2020, so I know that's probably even more. Just that year alone, they've probably made more money. Eventually, too, Tarkov will have a mode that's kind of an esports mode. They have that arenas mode coming up. Now, Tarkov's still in beta, technically. Marauders is in early access. Rust and DayZ are fully in production. So is the cycle as well. So I'll just share this bar chart with you. So this is just kind of a... So basically we're seeing Rust is obviously the most popular game. DayZ kind of somewhat emulating it at a smaller level. And then you see the cycle, which was pretty popular at one point, but it's kind of gone down. Marauders is kind of staying consistent for now. So hopefully we'll see that spike up here in the next couple months. We'll see what happens.
For this just being a week out, it's already showing a lot of promise.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as long as they start adding more and more content, I'm game for them to just see more. I think what they have now is a very good foundation, and I'm sure they're going to add more to it as far as picking where you want to go, adding more maps, stuff like that. For Marauders, I mean.
Jeez, there's a lot that's been going on with games nowadays, and I don't know, like with talks of Street Fighter 5 getting beta, we're probably going to see a dip in player count. That's to be expected, but that's the thing though, is what are they going to do next? Like what's like the flavor of the month?
Yeah,
what's popular, what's being shown on Twitch.
Yeah, there's always, and I think some people are starting to stream this more. You'll probably see some Tarkov streamers probably streaming this or something, because I think Tarkov's getting a little stale right now. The wipe's been out for a while, so I'm sure some people will be picking up this game more. Actually, I remember when this game was in beta, it was showcased by some Tarkov streamers as well. So that's actually what got my attention on it at first, because I saw the same people who played Tarkov also playing this. In general, games like this, they either kind of come out and then do well, and then as we can see with the cycle, it kind of just stopped. The momentum there, even me, like I lost interest. I play with my friends, and then I'm just like, yeah, I don't feel like investing too much time into this. Tarkov, I'd still pick up and play, probably next wipe or something. I think the most anticipated thing is the Streets of Tarkov, which is supposed to be their largest map. People are waiting for that. That's supposed to be the next best. Once that's out, I think the game will pretty much be in production. Let's get out of beta. We'll see how it is. And here's another interesting thing: is DayZ and Rust are available on console, whereas the other games are not.
Yeah, I can see this game being ported over to console.
I believe so, yeah, and my friend played it on controller a bit, so I know they do have controller support. Tarkov, I can see that being extremely difficult with all the different levels of controls you have. I can't imagine doing all the button layouts for that.
Yeah, that would be annoying.
I'm not sure about the cycle. Maybe they will. It'll probably help with the game's numbers or players. I mean, we did just check the Steam. I didn't even check the player counts on consoles, so I'm sure there's some communities there. It seems, with these type of games, survival games, I think you brought up a good point. Are wipes lazy? Kind of. I mean, it depends how you handle it. I think the way this game handles it is very unique. With the prestige system. With Tarkov, currently, yes, there's wipes, but I believe eventually it'll just be where it's a permadeath mode, where you just die and you don't escape, and then that's it. So, how they're going to handle that in the future, we'll see. I don't know how that would work, because you die so often in that game, so how would you, I guess the goal is eventually to escape Tarkov. Currently, can't do that, so I'm sure there'll be something along that lines.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things about Tarkov that would maybe like get me to come back into it. I mean, I paid like $40 or whatever it was to get the game. I would like to revisit it, but like my main complaints with that game were just the load-in times, the fact that I just get my shit rocked. If I lose everything, I'm pretty much just stuck with a pistol, if that. What I really love about the game is just the atmosphere, the sound design, and
oh yeah,
how pretty the game is, especially on my computer. It's great. I like it a lot, and I'm only running at 1060.
The gameplay itself is very unique. The way you feel, the way you move around, the gunplay, the sound can be a little hard sometimes. So far with Marauders, the sounds have been perfect, actually. I mean, I can hear footsteps, I can hear gunshot, space sound ambience is interesting. Tarkov has, the cycle sound is pretty good too. There's a lot of nature, there's animals, like sometimes you run past certain areas, birds sound off. So you got to be careful. Sometimes you sound off some birds, someone's around, or you hear gunfire. Yeah, sound design in these kind of survival FPS games are very important because way of getting information on where other people could be. But yeah, overall, I'd say I'm really hoping for Marauders to climb up there, maybe even beat out Tarkov. I don't know. If this game added more, I could probably see myself playing this more than Tarkov, to be honest.
What are like three things that you would want from this game after your short time playing it?
Let's see, three things that I would want. I think a better contract system, better questing is one thing. What's there is okay for now, but I think it can be improved. Maybe like what you said, some faction events, like some unique events that could happen that shake things up a bit. Just maybe like even a weather system or not a weather system, like maybe every now and then there's like an asteroid fucking shower that goes on that makes it difficult to fly around. Last thing I would want is the ability to choose which level you can go to, because right now it's random. Some quests require you to go to certain maps, so it's a little difficult to complete those if you can't choose where to go.
I think that's fair. Yeah. Anything else you want to leave off on?
I'm not saying one game is better than the other. We're just kind of taking a look at all the kind of major survival FPS games. There's other ones here that we might have missed, but these are the ones that we're kind of familiar with trying to compare off of. I have a love and respect for the game designers and all the stuff that goes into these type of games. Really, it's a lot. And I know, especially with like Battle State games, they have a strong community and they do respond to people. They do live streams showcasing Tarkov and the gaming. I know the Cycle has also responded to a lot of things. For example, real quick, cheaters, right? So how do you deal with cheaters in a game like this where you lose everything when you die? So Tarkov, it has its reporting systems. You can get rid of players. The Cycle has a very unique system called it's like a cheater's redemption system. So if you suspect that someone's a cheater that kills you, there's actually a way you can get your stuff back for free. There's a whole process built around it, but it's very unique to me because with the Cycle being a more free to play game, it's likely to have more cheaters because you have to keep purchasing it to if you get banned. If for the Cycle, you can just make a new Steam account, do whatever. So you're going to have more of a problem with cheaters. And Tarkov, you still see it happen. You still see cheaters come in and they just buy the game again. It is a bit of a problem sometimes. Some people just love seeing it happen, and that's what kind of turned me off for a bit because you still saw cheaters getting away with shit. I think that's very important to be addressed when you have a game that's permadeath, or at least loss of progression.
Yeah, that would tilt the shit out of me.
So far, I haven't seen it too much in Marauders. At least I haven't. I don't think so. From what I played, going off topic, Gundam Evolution, I've seen it come up a bit as well. It's a free to play. That's a whole different story, though. That's kind of a problem with free to play games. With Marauders, it's $30 at the moment, so hopefully we'll see less cheaters. But I'm sure they'll come out. We'll see. Thoughts on what you've seen from the developers' side of things?
I see that their publisher is Team 17. I was looking at their Wikipedia and I saw that they were working on, well, they worked on games like Worms, and they also did some of the Alien games. I think it was like Alien Brood. Yeah, Alien Breed. They did Alien Breed, Tower Assault, 3D, 3D2. Like they've been around since their first game came out that they published was in 1991, working on the Amiga platform.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so like these guys have been around. I'm confident that they're going to give this game a lot of nurturing, and I think that they're seeing a lot of promise in this, just like how we are. And they really like to focus on indie games, which makes me really happy because I feel like a lot of the better games are indie games.
Game definitely sparked my interest, and that's why we kind of put this podcast together. We've been a lot of things going on between both of us. I think we both really wanted to talk about it because just of how good it is. So really happy we got a chance to do that. And then hopefully, we'll of course continue to update this podcast as much as possible.
Yeah, I would like to do what is it, a Patreon of some sort in the future.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
maybe we can like just share some of the information that we find and give that to you guys. Maybe that's something that we're definitely gonna have to work on. But like I said, once I get myself some more time, once I get out of the military, I should be able to really focus on that and really focus on my education, pursuing things like computer science and programming, and maybe just doing some like game dev work, finally getting into that world and give you guys more insight, maybe give you guys more interviews with other game developers.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great, man.
Yeah, we need to talk to Naguli. Shout out to Naguli.
Yeah, shout out to Naguli, man. Who is it we were trying to reach out to? Small Saga guy. Maybe
Oh yeah. I am definitely, that's another game that I'm looking out for.
Yeah.
I had messaged him on Twitter and I had asked him, I was like, hey, when is this game gonna come out? I'd like to cover it. And he was shooting for the end of summer. We're already in fall, winter time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, he likes to update his stuff pretty frequently on Twitter. So shout out to Small Saga.
Hell yeah.
That game, just the demo alone, it's really good.
Yeah, check out the demo. It's on Steam. It's also on his website. Maybe we'll link that down here. Check out Marauders. $30. It's well worth it. You can get a lot of good content in here. Really good with friends. Even by yourself, it's not too bad. I have fun. It's fun role-playing too if you have friends, As far as I've seen, the community's pretty good too, so check it out.
All right. And on that note, we're out.